Hi, Professor Luis. My name is Iker Bucio, and for my final project, I chose the topic of Renaissance period. I want to emphasize this that in this project, I'm not going to talk about all the stuff of Renaissance period. I just will talk about the music in Renaissance period. And another thing is that from this final project, I choose the video, and my structure of this video is like some presentation. And the reason is that you can watch me in the little upper screen, and in the full screen you can watch like a presentation that help like with with visual with visual imagine photographs that helps me to introduce more of my exposition. Um, well, I'm going to start. Well, the Renaissance period was like the Renaissance period have a magic word that for me is revered. The revered is like the shortest way to explain the Renaissance. The Renaissance period from classical music runs roughly between 14th and 16th century. It was preceded by the medieval period and followed by the Baroque period and classical music. Classical music saw the growth of polyphonic music, which is a combination of two or more melodic tones or lines, the appearance of new instruments, and an explosion of new ideas about harmony, rhythm, and music notation. We can say that it's like a complete revolution of all the stuff of the music that we know in the past. Well, I did choose it because the most complex melodies that stimulates a person starts here for me, obviously. For me, this is when I start notice that not all the people can do this stuff of music, just like specifics one. Uh, it's when it changed or revolved from basic music from complex music, and for me is when it starts to stimulate myself. Well, something that is important to know is that Renaissance was first reflected in art, not in music. It starts in art in the Renaissance, and then it reflects in the music. And another important thing that helped the music in this period is the printing press in 1439. It helped to standardize and expand music notation throughout Europe. Also, it will continue to evolve during the Baroque and Classical era. The Renaissance period gave rise to the music forms like the motet, the madrigal spiritual, the mass, and the laud, all of which were liturgical styles of music. Well, now in this slide, I want to divide the Renaissance period in three parts: the early, the middle, and the late stages of the Renaissance. Well, the early Renaissance is when the music focused on the Burgundy school. A group of composers appears by Guillaume Dufay in northern France and the Netherlands. Then the Middle Renaissance. The Middle Renaissance began around the time that the Catholic Church Councils of Trent issues edicts discouraging the use of excessive polyphony in vocal church music. This led to a rollback of techniques used by Obrecht and Ockeghem, but it gave rise to a new generation of Renaissance composers who embraced simple forms of harmony. Then from final, the late Renaissance that gave way to a style known as Mannerism. Great music was embellished with various forms of ornamentation, suspension, and even chromatism. This will set the table for the bold, dynamic, heavily embellishment music of the Baroque era. In the next slide, we can watch that in the Renaissance period, a new instrument is distinguished, was distinguished, and are new, for example, the harpsichord, the clavichord, the viol, the lute, the rebec, lyre, guitar, recorder cornet, trumpet, trombone. It knows like a sackbut, the tambourine, and the transverse flute. Okay, I will mention three of the greatest representatives of this period that I take from the masterclass website. At the end of this presentation, I will attach the website. Well, the first author or are Joaquin Desprez. Joaquin Desprez was a prodigious composer of both church music and secular music. His liturgical motets and widely thought is music schools as an example of Renaissance harmony and notation. He was particularly known in his life from composer 32 religion masses. Then is Carlo Gesualdo, better known in his lifetime as Gesualdo da Venosa. This late Renaissance composer was perhaps the most famous of his era when he emerged from Italy. He was also notorious from a string of murders he is alleged to have committed. Gesualdo published 6 volumes of Italian madrigals, which feature chromatisms that will not be equal until deep into the Baroque era. The next one and last one that I'm going to give from examples is Giovanni Perluigi da Palestrina, simply known as Palestrina to most. This Roman school composer is sometimes credited as the link between Renaissance period and music period, and that's why he's one of the most important. Palestrina's mastery of contrapunct was among the most robust of this area. Palestrina was known from his masses such as the Missa Papae Marcelli, which made him famous in lifetime. Sorry if I'm not able to pronounce his names like correctly, is because it's a little difficult for me, and speaking English is it's difficult for me. But that's why I write their names in the slides. Here is some musical pieces from examples. That the first one is from Jonas Ockeghem with name Inter-Merata de Mother, Joaquin Desprez with the music his piece the Mitis, Cristobal de Morales with Magnificent Quartitoni, and I choose this piece of art to give an example of music in Baroque, and I will play the music that the melody that is here. Well, here is a little taste of the music in Renaissance, and I chose this piece because for me, I can identify the complex of the like fusion of instruments of and music and voices like in fusion that sounds really good. That sounds like there are a unique one piece, not are like two and joining. It's like just one, and that's why the Renaissance is like important because in this period it's like more making more complex the music and more like special the to listen and for me it's more stimulate and help me from stimulate myself. That's all I want to. This is not from this presentation, but I went to add from thanks Professor Rela Romo because I start to listen more like slowly the music to I don't know how to explain. Thanks from makes me feel the music from help me to identify the instruments in the music, the function of the vocal and the instruments, the different types of instruments, the form that it like grow the music nowadays. And nowadays the music is totally different than in the past, but is for me was good to look at the past and watch the importance of the music and how special from the people are because nowadays you just listen music and it's like oh it's good but in the past you are like you you can like make a critical observation to admire the music and that's what I achieved from this course and thanks from that and that's my final project. Here is the here are the APA citations and I'm going to move this to you can watch the APA reference and thanks from your attention professor and I wish you the best.